So first, giving honor to God, the Most High God, all right, the great God that keepeth covenants and mercies for them that love him and observe his commandments. And then to his Son, who is our King, our Prince, our Savior, our Apostle, the High Priest of our profession, whom the Most High used to reconcile us back to himself. Thank God for his Son. And then everybody that's with us, elders, mothers, brothers, sisters, children, those that are watching online. As the scripture says, the partaker of the heavenly calling, we thank God for each and every one of you. All right. So we're going to hop into it. And we're doing Wisdom of Solomon chapter 17 today. All right. But we're going to go to 16 and read a few verses from there. And okay, I'm in 17, that's why. So we're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon 16, and we're going to start at verse. We're going to start at verse 25. Verse 25. All right. Turn down the background noise. Right. So, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 16, and we're going to start at verse 25.
Therefore, even then was it altered into all fashions, and was obedient to thy grace, that nourisheth all things according to the desire of them that had need.
Mhm.
That thy children, O Lord, whom thou lovest, might know that it is not the growing of fruits that nourish man, but that is thy word, which preserveth them that put their trust in thee.
Make sure we got that verse again, right? Children, O Lord, whom thou lovest. All right, we know that's us. It is not the growing of fruits that nourish man, right? This is what Yahushua was dealing with, or also knows Christ, right? He was saying what? It's not by what? Bread alone. All right, man doesn't live by bread alone, but by what?
Every
Every word.
word. Mhm.
So he's saying what? That is not the growing of fruits that nourish a man, not the bread alone that gives them life, but what? But it is thy word, which preserve them that what? Put their trust in thee. All right. It's not just having the scriptures, just talking about it and reading it, but you actually trust the words that you're reading. The world is reading these things, but they're not trusting it. Okay. When it's telling you what you can and cannot eat, are you trusting it? When it tells you today, are you trusting it? Okay. So that's one of the biggest things. People are not trusting in him. Okay. All right. You can finish it up.
For that which was not destroyed of the fire, being warmed with a little sunbeam, soon melted away, that it might be known that we must prevent the sun to give thanks, and that the day spring pray unto thee. For the hope of the unthankful shall melt away as the winter's hoar frost, and shall run away as unprofitable water.
All right. That's a little segue. And I think this might have even been dealing with when we were dealing with the manna, uh it will actually go away through. But all right, I'm not going into that. We go to the next chapter, it's going to be dealing with that time. So he is staying with that time period. All right. We're going to see that. When we left out of Egypt, we're going to see a lot of things dealing with that. All right. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17. All right, is the chapter this evening. If you have anything, bring it out. I'm not going to different spots, so don't wait for me. I'm kind of reading it. So if you have something, please, 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 bring it out. Okay. All right, we can start up. Let's do two verses at a time.
For great are thy judgments, and cannot be expressed. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and feathered with the bonds of a long night, they there exiled from the eternal providence.
Um, so the great are thy judgments. All right, so we know multi judgments. Why they're so great, not just well, who it's coming from makes them great, right? But that authority, right? A lot of people can have judgments and commands and certain things. A lot of them not, they're not supreme as the one the Most High gives it. Okay, there's no authority that can overrule or override it. Okay, and it cannot be expressed. Now look at the continuation. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred. All right. These unstable souls have erred in their ways. Okay. Now, verse 2. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation. Okay. So this will be kind of dealing, this happened all the time as well. But specifically, when we go through some of it, we're going to see this is dealing with Egypt. Okay. So they were unrighteous men, okay, oppressing what? The holy nation, which would be what? Us, Israel. Okay. They being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of a long night, lay there exiled from the eternal providence. So this is going to be dealing with that darkness. Okay. It's a people can see, you can see probably see a couple different ways. But remember, they were literally in darkness. Okay. And this wasn't regular darkness, like it's just dark outside, the moon not shining, the stars not shining. This was, I think the scripture actually talks about thick darkness. Okay. So this darkness where you can't see something right, a couple feet away from you. All right. That's a whole different level. Anybody got anything for one or two? All right. We can keep going.
For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished, in trouble with strange apparitions. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear, but noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance.
Anybody got anything for three and four? So once again, like I said, the condition very dark, and they live. It says they lie hid in their secret sins. All right, they lying still. All right, and their what secret sins are what they think is secret or hidden. Secret or it can be another word you use hidden sins. All right, they think it is hid. They can nobody see it. They were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. Apparitions. All right. So they're getting, you're going to see it's a lot of stuff that's befalling them. And okay. And this is why I say, when we talk about the light, right? We talk about light and darkness. One of the things about darkness, not just you can't see, but also because you can't see, it brings the whole depth of fear upon you. Okay. Because you don't know what's going on. It's fine when it's daytime and you're seeing things, you hear something, right? You hear something in the woods and it's daytime, you can look, right? Oh, okay, that's just a squirrel. Oh, okay, that's just this. But when it's dark, sometimes you're like, what the heck? What is this? Is it a raccoon? Your mind can take you way further, right? Than what's actually there. And this is what's happening to them. Their mind is starting to be consumed with things. Brother Guy, you had something?
No, I ain't got nothing.
Sure. Oh, okay. So it says corner, they held them. All right. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear. What do people do when they get scared? Definitely in your house. You try to go into a corner, right? You try to hide yourself in a corner. What's happening to them? They hide and shook up in the corner, but the noises as of waters falling down sounded about them. So they're hearing these things. Sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance. All right. So they're going through it. And a lot of these verses are going to be dealing with this. All right. So it wasn't just it was dark, because people look at we look at in Exodus when they're going through it, it's like, oh, it was dark for I forgot, was it a day or 3 days? Right? But it was dark. I think it was 3 days, right? It was dark, and people just think, oh, they just couldn't see. It was just dark time for 3 days. No, it was way more intense than that. Okay. And once again, we talk about the plagues. These plagues were direct attacks to a lot of Egyptian gods. And one of the big ones is what? The one, the sun. I think that's Ra, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So that was a god of itself. So what did God do? Oh, that God you give credence to, right? You think is the light and give you all this kind of stuff,
Mhm.
vision and help you. Guess what? I'm gonna show you that it don't have no power. I'm the one that gives you light, give the earth life, period. Okay. So he was attacking their gods, what they presumed as gods. All right, let's keep going.
No power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighteth that horrible night. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself, very dreadful, for being much terrified. They thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not.
All right. Once again, just give them more details what they're going through, and it's talking about the fire, give them light. So even fire, that means they set in a fire, that wouldn't give them light. And they got torches and lamps, and it's how you go and see. Those became useless. We haven't experienced darkness like that, beloved. All right. Where the darkness can actually consume light. We know the light, when the light shine, it what? It makes darkness flee. But what's happening? We see the opposite. Okay. So that's a mirror, that brings a whole different experience. All right. And this is what they're dealing with. Um, I don't want to keep just dragging out the same thing. If anybody got anything, you can bring it out. Any ways you see it or any aspects, you can bring it out. But if not, we're just going to keep going.
As for the illusions of art magic, they were put down, and their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace. For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at.
So remember, they had the what? They had their magicians. Remember when Moses came up there and threw, the staff down, turned to a snake. Oh,
Mhm.
we can do that too, right? They was mimicking things like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, he messed with I won't say dark arts, but he messing with the same thing we dealing with. Okay. But they didn't realize Moses actually had the power of Almighty with him. Okay. But the illusion of art magic, right? And a lot of times, but we see in some of these, even miracles you're seeing nowadays, a lot of things are illusions, right? Picking somebody out of the crowd and all this stuff. And a lot of those things are illusions. But it says what? The illusions of the art magic that were put down, and their vaunting and wisdom was reproved with disgrace. So a lot of times with the magic and all that stuff is like, oh, I have this advantage over other people. I know something that they don't know, right? They don't know this magic trick. They don't know how I'm tricking them and what I'm really doing. So it kind of gives you a proud thing, a high-minded thing, right? So he's saying their magicians and everything, they put that stuff down. That deceitful things they do, they put it down. And their wisdom was reproved with disgrace. They got humbled. They're realizing this is something I can't explain. You catch the magician off guard, right? The magician like I can't explain how you did it, right? It brings a little disgrace, right? And then say what? For they were promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul. They are professing they have power and things to do things like this. You have the same ones doing it now, same they in the churches doing stuff like that now, saying they got the power to do all this. Were what? Sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at. See, it was all good when you got a bunch of ignorant people. And I'm using ignorant in the sense of not knowing, right? Egyptians, they're doing their stuff, working, right? They were the men. You know what I mean? They can be looked at. Oh my God, it's so deep. The power's all on them until you run into some true power, right? And when Moses showed up and showed them true power, it put them to shame. Okay, worthy to be laughed at. That's embarrassing. They were so embarrassing how much they was in fear. And these were the individuals that's supposed to make others safe and reassure them. And this was going to happen, beloved. See, people play around with this word of God and all that stuff until God shows up on them. And then you're going to see it. They get fear for themselves, right? They start calculating, oh man, I don't know. Am I going to make it? See, they'll play all that game while they're good, healthy, and all that stuff. But then when sometimes usually death comes near the door, then people start to get a little start recalculating it. Definitely if they was what? Playing around and not taking this serious. Okay. All right, let me keep going.
But though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that passed by and hissing of serpents, they died for fear, denying that they saw that air, which could of no side be avoided.
So once again, it's just going through more toward. That's why I say the God we deal with is no joke, beloved. Right? A lot of people look at some of the lost job, lost this, lost this. Listen, we underestimate a peace of mind. Having the right mind. We do not put the proper praise and value to that. These people could not get peace. They died from fear. That's why our body's not used to stay in a state of fear, not to stay in it, right? So you got to think about it. It's so dark that, when you're hearing something walk by, it ain't a squirrel. It might have been a squirrel before, but now, that's a lion, right? You start scaring yourself with everything. So think about 3 days and everything you hearing, you're thinking the worst. This is what the Most High, He is plaguing them in the mind. And this is what I'm saying, beloved. And this is why we say vengeance of the Lord, because a lot of times we don't understand how the Most High is getting certain people. Sometimes when we realize it, then we're ready to cry. So, oh my God, Lord, please stop, right? Because God, He can let you think you got all your, you got your valuables and materialistic things, right? But if He takes that peace of mind, it doesn't matter. You'll see a lot of people. You're like, oh my God, I didn't know they were going through that. Yeah. I'm being tortured in their mind. Because what? God says, perfect peace have them that love thy law and not to offend them. But people that don't have God and his laws in them, they're very vulnerable to all these spirits that's in this world. So that's one of the things we can wake up, beloved, and thank God we have a peace of mind. Go to some of these places and see people that don't got a peace of mind. And I'm talking about just having the right mind on, right? We got to thank God. Let's keep going though. I'm not going to stay on that one today. And you can read 3 at a time, Brother Kai, if you want.
For wickedness condemned by her own witness, it is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience always forecasteth grievous things. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth, and the expectation from within being less countereth the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
They could have wrote this a little better, translated this a little better. It's a little tough how they did it. All right. So wickedness condemned by her own witness. All right. So being wicked and now being condemned basically of that wickedness. All right. And being pressed with conscience, always forecasting grievous things. All right. So basically, when you're doing wicked and things like that, there's a reward for that. Right. A reward don't mean good. Now I'll say there's a consequence for that. Okay. And a lot of times these things happen, right? When you're wicked, a lot of wicked people what? Think wickedly, right? When you are talking about others, now when other people are talking and you're not there, you thinking of what? Oh, they're talking about me, right? So these are certain things that happen because you want to deal in wickedness. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the suckers, that's helpers, right? Like help. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the help, which reads an offer. Okay. So a lot of what they was dying for, remember, they didn't have help. If they would have known, oh no, right? Because your sight gives you help. Your sight will tell you, no, that's not no lion. That's just that's a squirrel over there just running. Okay, that's just a loose dog running down there. That's nothing big. See, that can help you. But since you don't have that help, right? You don't have that reason, you don't know what's going on, it brings upon what? Fear. And fear has plagued people, right? That not knowing has plagued people. Okay. This is why it's even when it comes to the truth and everything, a lot of us was probably scared because we didn't know what to expect. What would this require of me? I knew what falsehood requires of me, but what about really serving God and giving everything to Him? What does that require from me? Am I willing to do that? Am I able to do that? Oh, that's going to be too much, right? And people go through this whole turmoil, and what they're like, "No, I can't do it. I'm not
If
doing
it's so strong,
it." Right?
that's so strong.
Yeah, it happens. And this is why we need the Most High. This is why the Most High has to lead you to the truth. He has to protect you because that will come about. That's one of the things that Satan will use, right? Some of us don't want to go for I sometimes talk to to my guys that I work with in the groups, but I tell them about fear. Sometimes we fear something. We'll talk about, man, I don't like this job, right? Oh man, I just want to. I need to get out of it. I want to get paid more. Blah blah blah. And sometimes there's opportunity to where the job is closer to you. It might offer more money, right? You said you hate all the your coworkers and everything. You got all this, but sometimes, nah, I don't want to do that. And the only thing is, I don't know what to expect there. I'm comfortable. I know what to expect in this toxic situation. I don't know what to expect there. Even for my good, I don't know what to expect. So I'd rather stay here because I'm comfortable. And a lot of people, even in they're comfortable with it. They might know certain things is wrong. They might, I know people this and I know that I hear people say, well, I know the past ain't all that, but they know what to expect. They're comfortable with it. And that fear could be a torment. And fear is part of that darkness. But when you have God, that light, that truth, it guides you out of it. That fear starts to come off of you. Right. That's why I get mad per se when people, doing certain things. I understand the power of, the spirit of the devil. I know what he does. I said I know some of his tactics. All right. But this is why it talks about the scripture says perfect love. What does it do? Cast out fear.
Out there.
All right. God did not design us to have fear. That is not a strength attribute, but his love is going to cast it out. All right. And this is why with them, you see they're scared. They can't see certain things, but we should walk by what? Faith and not by sight.
Right.
This is why he said, trust me. In that last chapter, the end, it talks about trusting him in his word. This is why I can see things like, man, this don't look good. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Right. But God's in control. He already knows. So it gives you a peace of mind. But there's somebody right next to you going through the same situation, but they're tormented and it messes them up. And sometimes they'll self-sabotage. Right? I know it's going to turn back. God, and that's when they start doing blasphemous things. God don't care about me, blah, 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 because they're fearful. Okay. So, beloved, make sure we are not spiraling into that fear, right? Remember, you have God on your side. Anything that happens, whether we perceive it as good or perceive it as bad, we should know that what? God's in control. Okay? And that's the comfort you can wrap yourself in. God didn't allow it. Oh, I went for this job, I didn't get it. Must not be in the will of the Most High. And that should bring you peace. right? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. There's none of an expectation from within being less, counts ignorance more than the cause which bringeth to torment. Yeah, once again, if you don't know it, it can bring more torment. But yeah, we keep going. We keep going.
But they sleep in the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable, and were came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell, were partly vexed with the monstrous apparitions and partly fainted, their heart failing them for a sudden fear, and not looked for came upon them.
Mhm.
So then whosoever there fell down was straitly kept, shut up in a prison without iron bars.
All right. So we go back to that first one. So once again, they should have been sleeping, but one thing that can make it hard to sleep is when you scared, right? You will pop up, you go and try to be alert, right? And that's driving them crazy. And it says that which came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell, right? So a lot of things, beloved, you can see a lot of things that we doctrines and teachings that come about. Sometimes they'll have something in the scriptures, but sometimes it's with the interpretation. All right. So when you look at it, the inevitable hell were partly vexed with monsters apparitions. So some people might look at it as like hell opening up and all these things coming out of it. But basically, hell it can be a condition. Okay. Hell, when you look in the scriptures, a lot of times it's a condition. All right. So when somebody's saying, I'm going through hell, you understand the context of when they're using it. They say I'm going through hell, they're talking about the condition. Okay. Hell's also, when you go to New Testament, is talking about a place that they will burn things in. Okay. So how we have like a big trash place, trash disposals, we call it MUA out here. But they will have a place where they burn things. All right. I forgot what it was in the Greek. I want to say it starts with it. I think it might be Gehenna. I think it's something like that. But that's what Christ was talking about, cutting out and casting it there. So it's a place of destruction. So hell is it can be a torment thing, it could be, torture, it could be a state of mind, it could be a condition. Okay. So we're partly vexed. So they were dealing with this with what? Monster apparition. So once again, they're seeing things, they're hearing things, or they're just their mind is making up certain things. All right. And what happened? They partly fainted, their heart failing them. Okay. So it talks about also in the scriptures, all right, that the young men run and not be weary. All right. So for a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them. Right. So once again, this is another benefit, beloved. Right. Us not having to fear because fear is a torment. And they're literally dying off that, beloved. And a lot of times, beloved, when we look at stuff and you look at people that let's say like in the hospitals and stuff like that, sometimes they will have a certain condition and they're fine, right? They're living their daily life. And it's like soon as the doctors say, oh, you got this and everything, it seems like what? Their health declines immediately, rapidly, right? They didn't do nothing different. It's just what? They got something there. And what happened? That fear, that torment, what can happen, and your body, get that thing in your spirit, and your body reacts to that. That's why some people saying, I'd rather not know. Right? Because when you don't know, you're just in a state of just, okay, keep, it's regular, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you hear it and then, oh man, what I gotta do, and you're so depressed, and now you don't want to do this, now you feel lazy, and everything kind of shuts down. Okay. So that's another thing. Okay, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm sorry, did anybody have anything? I know I told y'all to cut me off, but sometimes I know y'all don't want to do that. But there is something I wanted to show when it comes to that fear. Real quick, real quick. Let's go to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 1. We talking about that fear and all this stuff. This 2 Timothy chapter 1 and just verse 7. 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7.
But God hath not given us the spirit of fear, For God have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Think about that, beloved. So if you're being ruled and overthrown by fear, that's not from God, is it? He said, I don't give that. But what I do give is what? Power, love, sound mind. Beloved, if you got love, if you got a sound mind, and you have power, that's from the Most High God. See, sometimes we don't even think about that. And this is the things that we need to learn and know, right? That's what the Most High gives his servants. All right. Some people, their whole thing is, I'm scared, I gotta keep going to church, and that's good for, some people are, saved through fear, per se, right? But however, you're not supposed to stay there. That might be an initial thing to get you in, but you're not supposed to stay in that. So you'll see people, that's kind of their relationship with God, right? I kind of do what I want. Then when something happens where I'm scared or I feel like it's out of my control, now I run to the church and now I try to get, build up my faith, right? Lose some of that fear, and I'll go and do this until next time. That's not supposed to be the relationship. Okay? To build yourself up. So you're not being under that fear and torment. Okay? All right, let's keep going, brother. Where'd you leave off at?
We're on verse 17.
Okay.
For whether he were husbandman or shepherd or a laborer in the field, he was overtaken and endured that necessity, which cannot be avoided. For they were all bound with one chain of darkness, whether it were a whistling wind or melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stones cast down in a running that cannot be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a rebounding echo from the hollow mountains. These things made them to swoon for fear.
All right. So once again, he's talking about that chain. They was all bound in that darkness, right? Overtaken, and everybody else. Well, no, I was going to get to that, but once again, they were bound in that. So much it's almost like they were stiff. They didn't want to move. When you get real scared, you're like, I ain't trying to move. I'm trying to stay right here. You feel like that's your protection to staying close and staying in the corner. Okay. They were doing the same thing, right? Not just not just the noises of animals, but the wind blowing is scaring them. Water coming down, right? It might have been, when you're looking, it might be a nice little waterfall. But now, since I can't see, that thing sounding like there's going to be a tsunami coming, right? Your mind can go and do this to you, all right? That's what having that sound mind. So important. But like I said, the Most High is really torturing them with this darkness, okay? Anybody have anything they wanted to add? Let's see. All right. Finish it up, Brother Kai. We're good.
Or a terrible sound of stones cast down, or a running that could not be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a rebounding echo from the hollow mountains. These things made them to swoon for fear, for the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Only them over them only was spread an heavy night, an image of that darkness which should afterward receive them. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness.
Once again, same thing. All right. The whole rest of the world was good, but they were getting tortured out there in Egypt. Okay. And their minds was the real thing that was getting tampered with in that darkness. Okay. And the same thing, beloved. If people don't get into this marvelous light, there's a lot of things they're getting tormented with. All right. Every wind of doctrine, every wind of news is swaying them, is scaring them, and all those kind of things. But when you have trust in God and trust in His Word, you should be solid like a rock, right? Because you know. See, a lot of, they think and all that. You know your God, and you know He's in control of any and everything. So there's no reason to fear. What He's going to do is what He's going to do. Why am I going to project and torture myself? Right? So we do not want to be like that. We first of all, we're going to fear God and keep His commandments, all right, which is not going to put us in that mind state. Okay. The mind is the true weapon, beloved. Okay. Protecting your mind, because not just the mind and your brain, it's the spirit. All right. Your mind is your spirit, your character, that's here, right? You have to protect that from what? Other spirits that's in this world. Okay, there's a spiritual warfare. I know I keep touching on it because I want us to understand that now. So you've been here for a while, right? But it's a spiritual warfare we're dealing with. It's the attacking of this mind, trying to get us to doubt, trying to get us to be distracted, trying to get us to give up. But we have to stay consistent, stay disciplined. All right. And if we do that, all right, the Most High God will be pleased, and our King, His Son, will come and be pleased and find faith. All right. So, beloved, if nobody have anything, we are going to end it there. All right. Those online, I'm going to end it for y'all. I'm going to say shalom to y'all.